Hello and welcome to our AWS migration series. In this section, we'll talk about AWS Simple Storage Service. That's my bad, it's not store. AWS Simple Storage Service, which is simply called S3. So let's make a move here. So AWS S3 is one of the foundational, there are foundational AWS services for you to understand for your migration success. So it's a Swiss Army knife. AWS says that whatever is your question, S3 is the answer. And obviously this is a marketing catchline, but I will tell you this is one of the most honest marketing catchline that literally matches with reality. And I'm telling you from my personal experience. We'll see why. It is highly available and reliable. S3 supports unmatched availability with 11 nines. You might lose one object in 10,000 years or so. Reliability across all regions. Globally unique buckets. We create S3 buckets with globally unique names. Under those buckets, we can keep our files and folders. Before we move on, there is one little thing I need to tell you about, availability and reliability. So there is a standard availability which is like 11 nines. You might lose one object in 10,000 years. If you do not need that, that's a little bit. S3 is incredibly cheap, but there are three options. There is an option of Glacier that give you a lesser reliability. Obviously for your requirement it is way higher, but from AWS perspective it's a lesser reliability, I think 2 or 3 nines, and it takes a little bit more time to retrieve objects from the Glacier. So for example, if you need some data, huge amount of data to be archived, and you don't need that immediately, then AWS Glacier is your choice. Otherwise S3 is fine. So let's see what we can do with S3. It is a file storage. The most basic but widely used S3 use case is that we use S3 as a replacement for storing files and folders instead of ephemeral cloud file system. Whenever we migrate from our on-prem, one persistent need we have is to have a block storage, because EBS, Elastic Block Storage, the other AWS service, which is basically persistent disks, is slightly costlier than S3. A lot of people choose S3 to store files. Like your web application is serving a lot of image. Instead of storing them to EBS storage, you can save a lot of money by deciding to store the images into S3, right? Web publishing, we can publish static and dynamic HTML, JavaScript websites through S3 web hosting. Through a couple of clicks here and there, enabling a few properties and permissions is all we need. Log storage, we can use S3 as a destination of vast log file storage, saving tons of money. Let's move on. Deployment. S3 plays a vital role in AWS deployment, as AWS Code Deploy uses S3 to deploy artifacts to EC2 instances and container orchestration clusters such as ECS and EKS. So if you are interested in AWS deployment tools, S3 is one of your components. Business intelligence, AWS Redshift can join data stored in S3 dynamically, saving millions of dollars in Redshift storage cost. AWS QuickSight, which is a BI tool, can access data directly from S3 bucket, showing dashboards. Data pipeline, AWS Kinesis can use S3 to transfer huge amounts of data through Kinesis Firehose and Lambda services, serverless functions towards multiple destinations. We have a dedicated section about AWS Kinesis streaming Firehose, so we'll not go much detail here, but let me tell you that data pipeline is another usage of AWS S3. So that's all about S3. You can see it has multiple uses. I have told you about only a few. It has got way more users than the ones I have told you already. I can tell you that it is a Swiss Army knife. It is a sure tool in your tool set. Don't make the mistake of not learning, not exploring S3, and you will thank yourself. And we'll go from there. Let me know if you have any questions or comments. And if you are interested, if you're liking this series, please subscribe. Whenever I create video, you will get notified. Thank you. Thanks for listening. I will take your leave now. Thank you. Bye.